All right, that's 7 people with their hands raised. All right, that's 8 people. That's 10 people. All right, I'll start in a minute.
Or both.
Both.
All right.
All right. Good thing I didn't close any of these. There we go.
Oof, okay. Excuse me. All right, you guys can put your hands down now. Oh, sorry. It's like every week for me. Yeah, Maria, yours is looking better. Yeah, it's looking better. Maybe you don't go quite as dark on your shadows initially, but I think it's looking better.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, so again, Wilfred, you want to put your hand down if at any point? But okay, cool. So we're going to be talking about 2 things for this class. And one of them is going to be fairly straightforward, and the other one will be less straightforward. Oh, no, it's cool. We just started Manuel. Okay, so before we do begin, I want to very quickly reinform you guys that to open your hue and saturation, it is Control U or Command U. And to open your color balance is Control B or Command B. Oh, excuse me. All right. So you'll notice that on your grayscale rendering, I'm going to start with my shadow. That if I open my hue and saturation, because it is not at all saturated, I can't change the hue at all. It doesn't really matter. I can change how bright and dark it is, but that is it. And that's not great because it's not good enough for me to start. So taking off the desaturation layer, you'll see I have this, and whereas it looks, I guess, fine, like if you hand this into somebody and showed it to them, they'd be like, all right, that's a rendered figure. But it's not great. There's nothing special about it. It doesn't even look all that good. So you take your grayscale render layer. Again, I'm starting with multiply. And I'm going to open color balance, which again, Command B. And on that layer, with nothing selected, I can then, actually, if I have the saturation, if I show you guys this way, you'll see that I'm now adding color to this layer. All right. In doing so, now, like if I were to open this up, well, looks pretty fine. If I were to open this up in hue and saturation, now when I switch it around, it does change color. So again, taking off my gray desaturated layer, now all of a sudden you can see like the grayscale layer, well, the previously grayscale layer, now it's actually affecting the art in a lot in a much nicer way. And because you have it, again, you should have it with 1 layer per tone. I can now take that same gray and move it around to like whatever color I'd like it to be. If I want to go like really warm, I could bring it to like a warm side. I could make it really saturated, make it really desaturated. But again, like it's up to you for what really works best for your image. Because this is a very cool scene, I am gonna try to skew it a little more toward like cooler colors, a cooler like shadow for the character who is so bright and warm. So yeah, like sure, this is fine. Not a huge difference, but yeah, I very much like it. And then kind of same thing for my overlay layer. If I take the saturation away, I can go to it and add any color I really want to it. This one, for some of the colors or some of your pieces, is probably going to be a bit harder to see. Like what it's doing, because overlay is making it lighter. You can see like, oh my god, look at that. Ugh. You can play around with it like to add to it in whichever way you feel. Sorry, did you? Okay, no. All right, sorry, I got a message. I thought it might be one of you guys. Yeah, you can see, you play around with it, see how it's like changing the figure. Well, it's changing the color. And all right, yeah. So the challenge with this part, like after you have this, I guess now established, is you can't just leave it all for, like all as is, because not everything is going to be exactly the same. So even so, like I would select the ground in this case, then go back to that same lighting layer, and then adjust how it affects like the specific thing. Maybe we should have chosen a page where the colors are a little more representational, or a little more like, I guess, realistic. Because in this case now, like playing around with something that's like it's very, I'd call them super realistic in terms of like what they are going like what's happening, like what happened like in real life. Like you're not gonna have this scene like it's super blue like this, but the character's also super vibrantly red. So yeah, you go through and you're gonna like change the colors for each individual part. It can be tedious. You can go for something a little more on the nose for all of it, like initially. In that case, you won't have to be super judgmental with it. Like you can have something that just kind of applies to everything as a whole. But yeah, so you would go through and you're just gonna slowly like adjust it for each of the characters. And then after this point, and I mean, I'm not gonna do too much with it. One more purple. And again, you can like use color balance, use your hue and saturation to really like switch around. Find like exactly what you're looking for. Like these flowers, I'd like the lighting on them to be a little warmer. And then you're gonna go back to like it's a lot about playing with it, finding exactly what you're looking for. Again, then adjusting your flats to maybe better suit what you're looking for. And same thing, I'll take the flowers and I'm gonna want the shadows to be a little like more orange for whatever reason. But you're well within your ability to do so. And just like a lot of slow adjustments to better fit the style you're going for. No, even now, maybe I'm thinking so that maybe go a little more purple with it. Yeah, and then the flowers, maybe I go a little more orange than yellow. Yeah, again, up to you. I have this other layer with like a white room light, and I don't really need that for anything. I just added it to have it. I like to always give myself the wiggle room that after I've added all this in, that I can add like a new layer if I choose to, and take an actual color now and like brush that in if I wanted to, really like play up a certain mood or a certain tone or even like, brightness, anything that like you want to add afterward, like, feel free to go ahead and do it straight in color after you have your page established. And like, would I use this yellow? Honestly, maybe. I think it goes pretty well with the rest of the figure, in a very like kind of like otherworldly way, which is why I love the color palette that was already on this page from before. I wouldn't necessarily keep it normal. If I was trying to add, I would, switch it to whatever blending mode would be appropriate for what I was trying to do. In this case, a hard light to have the colors more like directly put on in like this bright way. But yeah, then I would just go through it like that. Really quick, did I lose anyone on the way here? Like, are you still with me?
So from what I'm understanding, it's mostly just fiddling with the color balance and the saturation to kind of get the lighting, I guess, color densities that you want.
Yes, that would be for this one. Yeah.
Okay.
And I hope like, all right. So, and now like for the second way to do it, and that's something that Carol asked for. And again, it's something that's, I find using gradient maps, I find people mostly are using it in like for single character things or for illustrations like that. But very simply, so you guys can see it well, I'm going to have a black page and come on, no, just like a rainbow. What the hell? Yeah, so gradient to show the tone from black to white. And to explain what a gradient map is, I guess, I'm going to get a new mask layer. You see my cursor at the bottom here, where we've gone for the other solid color masks. There at the bottom, you'll see gradient map. And it'll, again, apply to the whole layer like it would with the masks. And you'll see now that there's a series of gradients that are pre-established in here. You can make your own, and like at this point, we're going to be making our own. But this helps with what's happening. You'll see. So I've selected it, and it now has, like, you'll see on this side, it's the darkest point, and this side is the lightest point. So actually, to make that a little more clear, I'm not trying to name it. To make it a little clearer, I'll have a specific selection of that map shown. So I'll fill it in. So I can see how it like lays across the black and white. So let's see we're clear. The black and white gradient is still here. We're just doing the mask on top of it. And the gradient map will, as if you see here, at the lightest point to like the darkest point, it'll have this gradient throughout. That means that if you're doing a tonal drawing from black, black and white, it will apply this gradient to wherever you add it, and it will go across that tone, adding this darkest to lightest point. I have to show you guys an example that I have. I was playing with this just to remind myself a few things with this. Is this it? Yeah. Here's something I was playing with this Max Grec key piece. This is a piece he had. It's black and white, tonal. Don't tell him I did this. We're not friends. He doesn't know me. We spoke once, but like we don't know each other. And for each selection, because I have the grayscale for the character underneath it, it was super rough. And I went in and I added a gradient map to each of the areas. So you'll see this is the brightest point on the knee. This is the darkest point on the leg. Well, around here. So I added, like, making that selection for the skin tone. Actually, I'll do the sweater. It's a little easier. The brightest point right here on the arm, and the darkest point would be here on the darker folds. So I added a gradient with the selection, gradient map, and whoops, let me just pick any color. Use that same blue gradient that I used on the other one, so you guys can see. And it has the darkest point, like I said, is down under here, and the lightest point, which is on the arm, it has it selected like because these are here, it puts the gradient across this tonally. So whatever you have in the darkest, like the color for the darkest point, it can be white, and it will just display weird, you know. So you have to like pick a color that would probably and like look like realistically suit the darkest color. So I'm going for like this very dark purple here. And for like the lightest point, I'm going to go for something a little more desaturated so it kind of makes a little bit more sense. And it goes across it like that. That said, you can go in and add multiple colors. I think 4 or 5 is like a solid way to have like, like a balance across all of it. You can even you can have it go from like, let me move this to the middle. Like, see, like the darkest tones are now a little more blue because I went for the blue. The mid tones are the same, like purple, and the highest point is now the same blue. I can move it so this now affects tones that are more in the middle between like the midpoint and the high point. And then I can even add another one. And by adding another color, very simply, picking a point underneath the gradient and then double clicking it to add a color to it. So now the brightest point would be this really light color, and I can push it as far over as I like. But you want it to be a little more realistic. So deleting that and going back to what I had before, whoops. For the character, this first sweater, this is what I did the first time. Well, you'll see, this is pretty much exactly what I just did now. I have the really dark color here, and for this I made it consistent. I copied the color code and for all of them, and you see I have my midtone as this purple, my highlight as this blue color, green color, and then I slowly transition it from like the purple to the blue to the green. With trying to like match the proper tone in the middle. And the same thing for the skin. Same thing, I have like my darkest tone being that same color. See, like I have my color code here, get rid of it, and I paste it with what I had last time. It's same color. And then like I had my midtone for the skin and my highlight for the white. You're going to be deciding with your tonal work how far it goes to either side, like at what point in the brightness and at which point in the darkness it will have different colors. You'll see right near the darkest point, I have it go a little like more drastically blue, so you can see it. And that really, that was just preference. I wanted to go along with the cool color scheme that I was going for, but at the same time, because it goes to more of like this like purplish pink color, I could have it be something that would seem a little more natural, if I so chose to. I choose not to do that, just to have more fun with it. And again, I did the same thing with the eyes in the background. You'll see I had the purple in the middle just to add like the interesting look of the color going from like cool to warm and back to cool for the highlight. It wasn't necessary. I could have just kept it cool all the way through. But the point is, you guys are seeing that you're adding it across the board, and it's just an extra thing to make it look, super neato. Okay, back to the page I was working on before. So yeah, you'll see. Same thing. I'm added the point. If I wanted the point to be like this bright pink, it allowed it across. If I want for some reason this to go bright pink and then like dark green, I can. Does that look nice? Definitely not. But it works as a gradient map. So what I did for the colors, turn off all this rendering. Oh no, I'm gonna keep the rendering on. I'm just gonna. It looks weird because it's still it has the color added to it, so I'm just gonna lift the grayscale on top of all of it. And then the gradient map that I added for it, I did this nice like blue, purple, red, then yellow, and then bright yellow to add a nice transition between the darkest points on the skin here to the brightest points, which are like on the shoulder and maybe like the eye. So I added that. You'll see I'll open it back up. And to go for something more realistic, I probably would drop this something more like dark and desaturated. This red, it's really, really fluorescent. I could go for something more desaturated with it. And yeah, it's really up to like playing with the colors in the way that like that you think works for the piece. So yeah, I'll like desaturate that too. Maybe go for something a little redder. I like technically makes it make sense more. I mean, like it's up to you whether you want it to have colors that really logically look like this is what would happen, or to have something like I did, where I said I just want it to look cool. I want it to look fit the scene in the way where it's like the scene is kind of like this ethereal like creature is kind of rising in the water to like to save this person, or whatever actually is happening. I'm not 100% clear, but yeah, this. So yeah, the darkest points affecting the color this way.
Wait, sorry, how do you make the gradient map layer again?
All right, I will say that again. All right, like same way that we made the color maps. This bottom like half circle at the bottom,
Okay.
the bottom of your layers. Second one from the bottom, gradient map.
Okay.
And the thing is, as you can see here, I guess the background, I guess that was the same color as. Oh, weird. I guess it just got selected. All right. Yeah, so for the background there and the character, they're the only thing I have selected. Whoa, what? That's weird. Yeah, so the character and the tail and the like hair, I'd go in, I would add that to what I want the gradient to cover. Then I would have to do it a second time to add my next element for what I want included. I wanted to keep going with what Carol had, where everything else is very cool. So I took the character, like this dude out right here, and I added this much cooler map now. Yeah, but I mean, if we're working with the layers, everything's like already right down here. If you're going up to there, it's just adding things slowly. It's a lot of like up here and then down here, and up here and then down here. Everything's right down here if you need to. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Where else am I? All right, yeah, so for this character again, you'll see that, sorry. I have like my highest point for the character as like this orange, because I thought it would just be a nice accent color. And then everything else for the character is these middling blues and like, I guess like indigos. But again, if I feel like the shadow is too dark, I can go in, wait, hold on, which one am I at? Yeah, the shadow's too dark. I can go in and lighten it, but don't want it to get all the way to that same dark color. Again, if I want to be like, I want it to be more purple. I want it to be more green for some reason. It really depends on what you're going for and how you want it to look. and then you slowly apply it to each individual piece. The key to, I think, really selling it is you need to have a realistic transition of the colors, not in terms of what colors they are, in terms of like their brightness, because you want to have like a darker color to go along with the darker tonal color that you have. You want to have a brighter color to go along for like the brightest your brightest point. Like if I went again all the way to white, it looks more realistic. But I want to have a little more
Use
color
your,
to have it look a bit more
variation
ethereal.
in-
So
all right,
I do
well,
it that way. Whoops. Demonic. Oh wait, hold on.
but it's like, I guess, yeah. So it really is just like about how people are. Because I know a lot. Again, this is the same thing.
Okay.
You'd go across
And so-
and add it like wherever you needed to add it.
You'll notice to kind of reinforce
Because
what
I
I'm saying
mean,
with the
if
tonal.
you did
I'll
this
go back to
same red for like a
this
like a
layer I
purple
had
color
specifically
for,
for, like, my
mermaid on
brightest point.
everything, it gets
and
I guess it looks
have a
cool, but it
highlight
doesn't
on
make
the cheek.
sense. Okay,
And
so-
so from here, if I add anything
we're
really
working-
How
bright,
do you make the gradient
What's the
map
other
layer
thing?
again?
all right, I will say
yeah,
that
if I
again.
add anything really
All
bright,
right, like same way that
it
we
will-
did, we made the color maps
take it to that same orange
to go
because
along with
anything
the darker
in the mask of the
tonal
gradient mask,
will
the gradient map,
transition to each
will-
individual piece.
transition to the orange. I do it really lightly on this like dark area.